All right, so I'm here with a user of ours, and who's done a lot of work with Microsoft Azure, including making customized dashboards with them. So that we're just going to do a little walkthrough to sort of learn what functionality Azure's dashboard builder has. So what we're going to do is we just went into our resources and we're looking at this one particular resource in the UXD Azure account. So I'm going to pass off to this user to just kind of show us how he gets to the dashboard builder and poke around with it.
Okay, so looking at a bunch of different resources in Azure, let's say that you care about this one in particular, and you wanted to figure out why this particular resource is behaving a certain way. One of the first things you could do is to go to the resource itself, go down to the monitoring, and look at the metrics. Or you can diagnose stuff, look at logs and alerts and all that kind of stuff. So that monitoring stuff, that is standardized across Azure resources. So the formatting of alerts and things like that are all uniform across different resource types, but you can trigger alarms and things like that based off of, like, say you care about CPU usage or something on an Azure resource. You can set that one specific alert, which all that stuff is fine and good, but say you have performance issues that might be distributed across a whole bunch of resources. Like, say you have a larger, more complex system where you need to be able to see lots of different stuff all in one place. That's where the dashboard feature of the Azure monitoring stuff kind of comes into play. So looking at this one specific resource, let's say I come in here and I care about, we'll pick out threads, the number of threads running. So right now it's at 0. And let's say this metric means something to me. And as you saw in this list here, you have a bunch of different options in here and you can kind of do different stuff. But let's say that this one particular metric on this one particular resource is meaningful to what you're trying to keep an eye on. There's actually a little Save to Dashboard button right here. And so when you click on this, it's going to take you over to a separate dashboard where this one metric will be tracked. And you can repeat that as much as you would like across different resources. So that's where that whole larger, more complex system, being able to keep an eye on multiple things in one time, this is where it kind of comes from. So I'll pin this to a dashboard. It's going to ask me to create a new one. I'll leave it as private for now. And actually, now I need to do create new. And Mary test dashboard. I'll put some spaces in there for readability too. Alright, so I clicked on the pin to dashboard, and now that one metric is on this dashboard. And you can actually, from here, you can also edit the dashboard and add in other tiles and all that kind of stuff. So this right here is a metrics tile. So I can add in another one of those, and that will be just a blank template one. So it's not configured yet for filtering towards any one particular resource. And even when you're looking at a particular resource, you have to then choose that metric, just like we were on that previous screen, going into the drop down and picking out that threads. You can kind of pick that stuff in that individual tile. But this view right here is more concerned with how this, how all of these tiles will display on the final dashboard. As you can see in the background, they have some resolutions listed down here with little guidelines to kind of show you as you resize these little tiles, just how much space they'll take up on the average person's screen if they're looking at it from a given resolution. And in this mode, you can also kind of drag this around and align them. And they have these little pre-configured grid tiles that will snap into this. So if I, let's say this other metric, I wanted it to be much smaller, I could condense it down to that size and adjust and put everything where I want it to be.
But are there any of those tiles in the gallery there that you found particularly useful? Like, we've talked about the metrics. Are there any other ones that you've found to be particularly helpful?
I've done a lot of work with the metrics one just because when I'm trying to explain to developers why their deployments are having weird issues in a certain environment, the metrics are a really good tool for that. I also pair that up with some of these markdown tiles. So this is just static content. You can put like text, images, links,
like that.
Yep, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really nice way to side by side kind of put a legend for these metrics and say like, this is what this means, this is what this means. If you see something weird
and
here,
like some notes almost
Yep.
about the different things.
Yep, so it's kind of a way for you to just put some metadata about the tiles and everything that you have right in place, right next to that stuff, so that
Set some context.
Yep, set the context and allow the user to kind of dive deeper into these metrics or whatever your dashboard you're setting up with the context of what's going on in the larger picture. You wouldn't normally be using the dashboard by itself to troubleshoot everything, but it's really good at giving you that first step of saying like, okay, I know that something's going wrong because we're seeing weird behaviors. I don't know where the root cause of that is, but now these metrics kind of point me in a certain direction to do a deeper dive. So some other nice things too. Down here, if you have an issue with one of your resources and that issue is related to Microsoft rather than your usage of the service, they have a tile here that you can drop right into the dashboard to open up a ticket with the Microsoft support, and you can like take a lot of the information directly from these metrics and plug that into your support ticket so that they have more context of how whatever help you need, they know what you're looking at, and you kind of get that unified view between yourself and whoever else has to interact with this stuff. Also video down here, that can be useful. If you start to get more in depth with Azure, you can start to actually look at the infrastructure as code. So like the Azure Resource Manager, you can actually send REST API calls to it with this ARM data and ARM actions. So ARM data is kind of like, say you have a bunch of infrastructure set up in Azure and you need to get some quick information back about the status of that infrastructure or the configuration of it. ARM data might be useful there. Whereas if you have a known issue with your infrastructure when it gets into a certain state and you have a playbook or something that can help you recover from that issue, ARM actions might allow you to automate that stuff, where say if you see performance issues in one virtual machine and you know that the quickest fix is to just restart the virtual machine, you could include a little tile in your dashboard right alongside that metric that gives you a restart button to, under the covers it will go reach out to the Azure machine and make the request.
Cool. So one question, if you hit save to this dashboard, how do you then access this dashboard again? Like if you were to navigate, hit save and then navigate away from it.
Alright, so let me And now that I've saved it too, I can also quickly just show. So this is where you would go back in and set all of the
okay,
different
so
metrics.
like detail view type thing.
Yep. So the tiles and like the details in those tiles are separate from the dashboard itself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to really configure some of those ones, the dashboard view that we were just in really only cares about the broader picture of things, and
Yep.
it's pretty.
And the stuff
high
that goes
level.
into each of those is kind of lives in its own thing. Does that sound right?
Yep, yep. And so, so this dashboard actually exists in Azure as a resource, just like a piece of infrastructure would be.
Okay.
And if you want to manage that stuff, they have a dashboard hub, and I can kind of show that here. So we'll go to the dashboard hub in a second, but this sharing and access control, this is where you actually start to treat this individual resource, which I first created as a private dashboard. You can start to actually share that out to different subscriptions.
So is it safe to say, like, kind of in the realm of, like, not myself being super familiar with Azure, is it just because, like, we don't call things resources, is it safe to say that this is almost like equivalent to, like, I'm making a cluster, like it is like a item, like an object?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And there's like different, depending on how you set this up, they have a resource group that's dedicated to dashboards. That is like the default one where it gets dropped into.
So like an RBAC group, kind of?
Yeah, like a resource group within a subscription. So it'd be like, if I uncheck this, and so now it's trying to look for a resource group to put it in. So this network watcher resource group, RG, this would actually show up inside that resource group. And if I were to come back to here, I go to resource groups, it would show up inside
I see.
here as one of these resources inside the group.
Okay.
So now that I've completely navigated away from this, let's say I want to go back to that dashboard. So when I first created that, it was a private dashboard, so it would not show up in this shared resource group, because the shared resource group is visible
Sure.
to everybody. Yep. So if I go to Dashboard Hub, this should allow me to view, and there's two versions of this. They have a preview version and the classic one. So I'll start with the classic for now. I go to the private dashboards under classic. Here's the dashboard that we were working on before.
Okay.
If I come into here, there's no shared dashboard set up here yet, but you can also set up stuff down here. If I go to actually select this one, there should be a hold on, let me uncheck that. Unless it's
Is
frozen.
my mouse being funky?
Oh, page.
Oh.
So
Cool. I'm gonna exit and come back.
yeah. So there we go. There.
Dashboard hub. Okay. Let's see if. Is that what we're trying to do?
Yep. All right. So now we're back in the dashboard, and you can kind of set a bunch of different stuff and all that. So this private dashboard, let's say I have multiple environments that all have setups similar to this one that I'm testing with, and I want to make this more reproducible. I can actually export this as a JSON file, and now that JSON file will have all of the resources. So let's say that AI workspace that we pulled this metric from, that will be statically defined as the target resource for that metric inside that JSON. You can set up parameter files in the ARM template, and like you can even template the file yourself. So like you can replace the let's see, what's the RHOAI. That could be RHOAI dash prod or dash QA or whatever environment name it is. But like if you're just looking to always have a threads metric available for that AI workspace on each dashboard, that JSON file will have all of this information saved in it about like the metric and metric type that you're looking at, the way that data is aggregated. Right now this is in sum, but like you could do as average, you could do as count. There's a bunch of different options there. And when you go to export that and say you have other metrics inside this dashboard as well, like the position and sizing of all of these tiles in the dashboard, those are all saved in the JSON file as well. So you will get all the tiles in the same spot, more or less looking at the same resources, unless you decide to template that. You can kind of modify that as you find useful, but there's like that ability. And then whenever you have a JSON file and say you want to upload that back, you can use this upload feature over here to.
So you could also, if you wanted to like create a new one, you could create like a new empty dashboard and upload that JSON into an empty one too, and it would just like populate with all, basically make a copy of what you have now.
Yep, and you can also do that from the UI here as well. So this clone will do the same exact idea.
Local JSON.
Yeah, and like if you do this clone, you do get the same copy of the dashboard you have right now, but let's say you have some automation in the background that's doing that templating for you. You won't be able to do that with this clone button. You'll need to, again, go back and modify that JSON file and then, you know, treat that as like an artifact that you deploy, just like you would with your infrastructure as code to deploy clusters or whatnot in Azure and all that.
Cool. That was super helpful. Any other last notes?
I guess.
Or it's totally fine if you're donezo too.
I will call out here. So they have this dashboards and dashboards preview. So dashboards preview is, it seems to be the way they're going towards. They're redesigned some of the way that you make the dashboards and how some of them get like, you know, positioned and all that kind of stuff. So that whole dashboard view page that we were looking at before we were modifying it, some of that stuff changes in this one. I have not used this one extensively yet because it does not support all tile types. So if I try to look at like some of the basic stuff like metrics, I can cover that with the preview version. But if I go to really customize some of those tiles and get some useful information about, like, let's say you write a query to pull all of the resources in your Azure subscription and check to see for cases where this resource exists in this place, or this resource has an alert in the last 24 hours, or stuff like that. Some of that stuff might not work with the preview version, and so that's why I stuck with Classic so far. But from what I've seen in their documentation, it seems like that's where they're heading towards. They're trying to kind of get the legacy stuff converted over, but that's a work in progress.
Okay, cool. So at some point there might be some changes. Cool. Thank you. Let me stop this.